I never imagined that betrayal could feel so utterly consuming, so sharp it leaves a scar in the very marrow of your bones. Before that day, my life had been ordinary, predictable, almost comforting. We had been together for 5 years, and I truly believed I knew her better than anyone else, maybe even better than she knew herself. But sometimes, the person you trust the most, the one who promises forever, can become the source of your deepest and most searing pain. It all happened on a seemingly normal evening. I had returned home earlier than usual, a little tired from work, carrying the expectation of quiet and familiarity. And then I saw her, alone with someone else. Not a casual encounter, not an accidental meeting, it was deliberate. What I saw made the air in the room feel heavy, almost suffocating. And in that moment, the world as I knew it crumbled. There was no shouting, no dramatic confrontation, only a chilling emptiness that gripped my chest, froze my thoughts, and hollowed me out from the inside. Every dream I had built, every shared plan, every laugh now felt like it had been a lie. I packed my things without a word. I didn't look back. I walked away, and in my mind, I told myself, disappearing was the only way to survive. To protect what little remained of my heart. I had no intention of ever returning. Ever. Leaving wasn't simple. I abandoned everything familiar, the house we had decorated together, the friends who had been part of our shared life, the routines that once made life feel safe. I relocated to a city where I was anonymous, where nobody knew my name, my history, or the shadow of betrayal that clung to me. The first days were unbearable. Each morning, I woke up with a weight pressing on my chest. I would glance around the small apartment I rented and feel a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. The silence was deafening. Questions echoed relentlessly in my mind. Why? How could she? What did I do wrong? I tried to distract myself. I walked the streets aimlessly, hoping the movement would shake off the lingering thoughts. I listened to music, worked long hours, tried to meet new people, but none of it eased the ache. The memories followed me everywhere, her laugh, the warmth of her hand in mine, and the image of her with someone else, etched in my mind like a photograph I could not tear apart. I spent countless nights replaying everything. Every word we had spoken, every moment we had shared, every small gesture that once seemed insignificant. The betrayal was not a single act, it was a culmination of choices, a deliberate disregard for what we had. My mind twisted in a storm of confusion and anger. At times, I fantasized about revenge, imagining confrontations, exposing her lies, making her feel a fraction of the pain I had felt. But with every passing day, it became clear, vengeance would not heal me. It would not restore my sense of self or my shattered trust. The only way to survive was to live through the pain, let it run its course, and reclaim my life piece by piece. In the solitude of my new life, I began observing the world differently. I noticed the small details, the way sunlight hit the streets, the laughter of strangers, the quiet dignity of people walking alone. It reminded me that life continued, that the world was bigger than one betrayal, bigger than one heartbreak. Gradually, I started finding moments of freedom I had never experienced before. I traveled to neighborhoods I had never known, explored cafes and libraries, met people whose lives were untainted by my past. I allowed myself small joys, a perfect cup of coffee, the smell of rain on concrete, the thrill of discovering a quiet bookshop tucked away in a side street. For the first time, I realized that leaving had given me more than pain. It had given me space, perspective, and choice. I was no longer bound by someone else's mistakes, by someone else's disregard for my heart. I could breathe, plan, and rebuild. Yet, the memories lingered. Some nights, I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, recalling her face, her words, the familiar comfort that had turned into a wound. I questioned my own judgment. Had I truly done the right thing by leaving? Could things have been different? And then, almost a year later, it happened. A message appeared on my phone. At first, I thought it was spam. I almost deleted it. But the words were unmistakable. We need to talk. My heart skipped a beat, though I told myself it shouldn't matter. I didn't want to see her. I had no desire to reopen the wound. But curiosity, and perhaps a trace of unresolved emotion, pulled me toward a response. She was in my city. She wanted to meet. The evening was crisp, the sky painted with the fading hues of sunset. I drove to the meeting place with a knot in my stomach. Each block brought a surge of memories I had worked so hard to suppress. When I arrived, she was there, waiting. Her eyes met mine, hesitant, yet determined. We sat in silence for a moment, each of us measuring the other, the space between us heavy with unspoken words. Then she spoke. I made a mistake. I lost you. I want to make things right. The words hit me like a physical force. Anger, disbelief, and a flash of old pain surged through me. Yet beneath that storm, there was also something else, clarity. I was no longer the person I had been. The betrayal had shaped me, hardened me, but it had also liberated me. We talked for hours. She explained her choices, her regrets, her struggles. I listened, but I also realized this conversation was no longer about reconciliation. It was about closure, about understanding, about asserting my own boundaries. When it was time to leave, I felt a strange sense of peace. I had forgiven, not for her, but for myself. I had acknowledged my pain, processed it, and reclaimed my life. I said quietly, I forgive you. But I cannot come back. She nodded, tears welling in her eyes, understanding that this was not rejection out of spite, but a choice born of self-respect and strength. Walking away, I felt lighter than I had in years. Freedom was not an abstract idea anymore, it was tangible, flowing through me with every step. I had survived betrayal, not unscathed, but whole. I had learned that pain could transform into resilience, that loss could lead to growth, and that choosing oneself was the greatest act of courage. From that day on, I never allowed someone else's actions to dictate my life. I embraced the present, cherished small joys, and moved forward with a strength I had never known. Betrayal had taken much from me, but it had also given me something invaluable, the knowledge that I could survive, thrive, and live fully, on my own terms.